This is the Bridge 99, and this is the Public Eye. I'm Ronnie Thwaites, and with me is the Honourable Pernell Charles. This morning on Early Rise, both of us had a very interesting discussion about striking the balance between not sacrificing individual liberty while protecting the interests of all people. And this afternoon on 99.13579 on the FM dial and www.thebridge99fm.com, you'll hear us with a discussion with Dr. Leakim Samaj, president of Above and Beyond, quantum transformational psychologist, he's called, and management consultant, talking about freedom of choice with regard to vaccinations. And also, he's had quite an interesting contretemps, yes, with Adam Stewart, the chairman of Sandals Resorts International, about permitting only vaccinated persons at calendar events, and that's still a very controversial issue in Jamaica. Later on, Member of Parliament for East Kingston and Port Royal, Phillip Paulwell, he's been speaking about the difficulties and the unfair pricing of energy in the country. Also, he's been speaking about the need for a united front between government and opposition to effectively tackle crime. And we wouldn't let him go without talking about the future of bauxite. He's the opposition spokesman on mining and energy, I believe. So join us for an interesting 2 hours on the Public Eye with the open mind. The numbers are 876-676-4996 or 888-546-8742 if you are in the tri-state area. And of course, at 1 o'clock, we'll be joining our friend Beau-regard at Irie Jam in New York City, beaming to the tri-state region. That's what the Bridge does, unites Jamaicans all over the world. Mr. Charles?
How are you, sir?
I'm well, thanks.
You look a little, what should I say? Just as fresh or fresher.
Yes. What was your thought about the program that preceded us?
I have a problem, and I don't know if anybody else have it. I think that our colleagues was making a presentation on ganja, and I know from my own experience that it is not a totally 100% good for all of us.
Yes.
That it hurts some, it don't hurt some.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to say, as it is, that if you're not taking it under medical supervision, you should recognize that it is not a free-for-all to smoke as you like, where you like, as much as you like, because I have never met a madman. I don't say not around. I've never met a madman in Jamaica who never smoked ganja.
Oh.
I have met ganja smokers who are not mad, but I've never met a madman. When I ask him, he either has it in his hand or used to do it.
Yeah.
So it can hurt some people, and it may help some people. You know what I say? It can hurt and it may help.
Okay.
And it has proven scientifically that it has some value in terms of eyes and
medicinal.
Medicinal,
yes. Pharmaceutical.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's do the history now, because you and I are former legislators. And I remember your distress when I supported the decriminalization of small quantities of ganja and the reservation of it for religious purposes and for medicinal purposes.
Yes.
I think it was in 2028, 29, somewhere there. Okay. And your concern was just what you have expressed here again.
Yes.
I countered that I couldn't disagree with you. Yes, my experience of seeing how it affects people's mental state.
Yes.
Some people. Yes, is enough people to be very concerned. Yes?
That is correct.
Right.
You put it the proper way.
Okay. I'm conscious of that. My difference, if it is a difference, is that I do not believe that the criminal law is the appropriate vehicle for depressing the use of psychotropic substances.
And I won't object to that if we have a way of teaching or exposing to others
Yes.
without using the prison.
Yes, well...
Okay? But
Okay.
to leave it
To leave it just so.
as it is left.
Yeah.
So, boy, it's a nice thing, you know.
It's
It make you
irresponsible.
hot.
Yes.
Right? It make the taxi man them with one another mouth driving the wrong
Sure.
lane too.
Sure. And we see that regularly.
And it's not taxi men alone.
No.
Please, I'm not attacking taxi. Because I have discovered, you see the minibuses on Mandarin's Road?
Yes, sir.
They drive on the right hand when they're going to
Yes,
the left.
Uh-huh.
They drive on the left for the car.
Well, okay, here's the position. I spent most of the early years of my legal practice defending people against having a spliff and
Yes.
spending 18 months in jail.
Yes.
And I reacted against that because that for me was totally unjust.
Yes.
Okay? And I'm convinced that it is not every social ill that the criminal law must be invoked to protect. Criminal law used to criminalize adultery, for example. Yes? In some places, they criminalize fornication.
Yes.
My view is that is not what the criminal law is for.
Yes.
And I can argue that another time. The disappointment I have is that when the move was made to alter the law, yes, there was a clear commitment, a conditional issue to the whole thing. It wasn't an extra add-on. It was supposed to be the centerpiece, that there would be significant money devoted to mounting an public education campaign to point out the dangers, particularly to adolescents, of using ganja.
Well,
It never happened.
Let me disturb you and tell you I remember very well.
Right.
And I also remember that I guess who we should have had this morning,
Yes.
Dr. Campbell,
Yes.
abstained,
Yes.
and Pernell Charles
Objective.
opposed.
Of course. I
And
remember.
I opposed based on the experience
That you had, yes.
that I had.
Yes.
And I warned then
Uh-huh.
that the high schools in Jamaica
Yes.
that give break to allow boys to go behind the tank,
Yes.
they were going to go behind the tank. And at some stage I hear our boys' population in these schools has suffered.
No, I can tell you. I served.
Wait, you're Minister of
I
Education.
served later as Minister of Education,
Yes.
and I recall investigating personally a number of boys at a very prominent high school near to us here, which I won't name.
Yes.
Who were basing themselves with ganja under the assumption that if they
make them bright.
that they were going to be able to ace the examinations.
Yes.
Which I'm probably never studied enough for. Yes, by using this. Now that is folly. That is destruction. And so let us be very careful. Let us be very, very careful what we're doing. Every personal freedom, as we're going to discuss with Dr. Lakim Samaj, has a personal responsibility.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Not everybody accepts that, you know.
Say that again.
Every time you whatever personal freedom we have,
Yes.
it is correlative to a responsibility.
Yes.
Yes.
But the second one is never put forward.
That is, if you read the United States press
And
today.
what you said in Parliament, and what you indicated when I confronted you,
Yes, yes.
and I think I warned that
You did.
we are going to see our schools.
Yes.
Because this man, I know behind this tank, you know.
Yes.
I know behind school break, you know.
Yeah.
I know in a few boys gather, you know.
Yeah.
And what they do. And see what happened. Yes, Ronnie. Yes. If you're guided, if you're aware, and you say, I am guided, I'm aware, but I am going to smoke. Well, that's your problem.
Yeah,
but you're guided
but
and you're told what can be done.
But if you're led to believe, I know nothing. Whether it is and I'm not putting them on a plane, but they are to some extent. Whether it is ganja, alcohol, tobacco, yes, opiates, anything. Yes, you're destroying young minds or impressionable minds or weak personalities if you make it appear that it's okay how much, and it's your choice how much you do, how much you mash up yourself. Life doesn't go that way. Society can't exist that way. Let's take a break on the Public Eye. We'll soon come back. This is exciting stuff. Lakim Samaj coming up. This is the Public Eye on the Bridge 99, reaching out to the diaspora, Ronnie Thwaites and Pernell Charles, bridging the differences, and welcoming Dr. Lakim Samaj. How are you, sir?
Alive and well.
That's good.
Dr. Lakim Samaj, how are you, sir? Chief. I think I have told Mr. Thwaites that I had the privilege of going to the same university that
really
accommodated you. You're a City
University
College.
of Harlem, City College.
You're a City College man, I understand.
Leakim Samaj, president of Above and Beyond and quantum transformational psychologist and management consultant. Leakim Samaj, the world, but particularly our world, Jamaica, is wrestling now with the recovery from the fourth surge of COVID, this one named Omicron, and the pressure is on to remove all of the protocols and the health considerations. It's vexed in Jamaica because there are some prominent people, who want it to happen right away, despite the fact that there's only 27% of our people vaccinated. What do you think?
I have a suggestion as to how we could possibly do it, but I want to preface it by three basic statements. One, when you look globally at this process, we're all in the same storm, but not the same boat.
Okay.
Right?
I like that.
Me too.
Some people have some big, and our boat kind of small, all right?
Mm-hmm.
The next thing is that you can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality.
Okay. You can
Gravity
ignore
works whether you believe it or not.
Right. Okay.
The third one now applies to probably both of you because you're both within government.
Yeah.
Anything that occurs in the public space, if it is not regulated, it will have to be subsidized.
Anything that explain that one for me now.
No, anything that takes place in the public space. Say,
right.
For example, how people drive on the road.
Right.
If we don't regulate it,
Yes. Okay, follow
we're
you.
going to have to pay for it later on.
When the accident take place,
we have not regulated squatter settlements and informal settlements,
right,
and we're paying for it now.
Right.
All right. So let's get back to the issue in question now. All right. What do we do about vaccinated versus unvaccinated? How do we open up? What do we do? Mandate or choice? I see the pressures as a psychologist. I see the pandemic stress. I see the pressures as a businessman. I also see the pressure on the economy. But one has to be very careful. Here's a model that I'm postulating now for further thought. What if, remember now, we have to, if you're going to open up a situation, there are risks involved. What about if we seriously think of all the risk and see what could we put in place in the same way that insurance companies look at risk? What is the risk of you doing this and a problem occur? So if I apply for a license to open up my venue, now, I do believe that there's a risk factor involved for persons attending. If the persons attending are all unvaccinated, the risk factor is one level. So what if we had insurance premium now that would now take this into consideration so that a fund is generated to pay for the consequences of the risk of opening up? So that if I have a hotel and I want that everyone can come to my activities at my hotel, if you are unvaccinated, you would probably pay a higher premium than the person is vaccinated and boosted, because the risk factors are not the same. The data tells me that if those who are vaccinated and also wear a mask and are sanitized and social distance are at a much lower risk than those who have none of the above.
Leakim, hold on a second. On that point, you're getting technical, but can I just give you some statistics, Pernell, Leakim, that I came across just before the program. The Center for Disease Control in the United States this morning, okay? Now, I consider them a reputable body. Some people think not, but I think they are, okay? Their statistics throughout the United States say that for 18-year-olds, that's young adults, yes, you have if you are unvaccinated, you have a 16 times more chance of getting COVID. If you are over 65 and you are unvaccinated, you have a 50 times more chance of getting COVID than if you are vaccinated. And in any age group, if you are unvaccinated, you have a 20 times more chance of dying from COVID. So what more we need, Dr. Samaj?
Before you answer, can I add one?
Yes, Bernal.
I understand that in Jamaica, all the people who have died, 90% of them never took the vaccine.
Yeah.
And they die of the virus.
Right. And you have reputable medical people who are saying, well, since if you are vaccinated, you can still get it. What am I say? It no matter? Help me, Doc.
No, that can't be right.
No, but it does say.
They are breakthrough cases.
Yes.
You can be infected.
Yeah.
Even after you have any kind of vaccine, but the consequences are very different.
Right.
Risk. That's why I keep using the word the risk.
Got you.
What are the risks involved? And the risks that you articulated a while ago, Ronnie, are accurate.
Yes.
Now, if we are going to give people the choice of acting in such a manner, who then is going to ameliorate? Who is going to pay for the risk?
You, Pernell, and me.
Well, that's why I'm proposing then. And
I am objecting because I'm not paying for you if you don't take it and get it.
So what I'm saying now, that's what I'm saying now. The cost of the ticket to attend the event would include the insurance premium.
Yeah.
Yes.
And persons pay premium as a function of the risk factor that they will be.
I understand that point, and it's ingenious. I don't know who would underwrite that, but never mind. Let's go a step further, though, because even if with that risk premium, yes, what if I take what is generally recognized as being a protective step, that is to be vaccinated, what right do you have to exercise your choice not to be vaccinated, and you therefore are more vulnerable? And you want to monks up yourself at the event side of me? When I'm doesn't every right, Dr. Samar? This thing goes deep, beyond COVID.
Right comes with responsibilities.
Well, thank you, sir. Whoa, Pernell,
and consequences.
Yeah.
Let me tell you first of all. Let me declare my position.
Yeah.
No matter how these things are open, I am not attending any such event.
No.
Because I am fully vaccinated and boosted.
Yes,
all right.
Me too.
But I accept the consequences of my own behavior.
Right.
And if you are not able to guarantee that the rest of people who are attending with me are equivalent, and my risk now will be increased because if I'm now surrounded by persons who are more than likely to be shedding the virus, I take that responsibility for myself. I am not attending. Recently, a friend invited me to their house. But the way the invitation was structured, it sounded like it's a big gathering they're having. I called to query to be very specific. If it was a big gathering, even though it's a house function and so on, I would politely say, no, thank you. He says, no, it's just you and your wife I'm invited. I said, that's different because I know I can vouch for our status. And I know your status.
Sure.
So the four of us having dinner clearly is a risk that I am willing to take.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, Ronnie, why I raised the question of an insurance premium, I'm just trying to find a way to reason it out with all the parties concerned. So that if you are in the entertainment thing, you want to open a venue, you want to allow 100 people to come in, who will be responsible that risk premium.
No, but it's not 100 people even. The 100 people is modest. What certainly the hotel industry and some very well-known people in Jamaica, you saw them pictured in the Observer yesterday, along with yourself, are saying, open the damn thing. We want to have 30,000 in the arena, and we need to fill up the hotels to 100%. In a way
I'm
that
putting that in the mix then, whatever it is. Now, what is the risk premium?
Yeah.
Look, we have actuaries who can do the calculation.
They do. I don't know who would underwrite it because
No, but hold on. I every time I step out of my house, and every one of us, I do the calculations. The only public, right. Once a month approximately, I go on an airplane. I do that very carefully and very cautiously.
Right.
Most time I wear 2 masks. As I get off the plane, I dump the mask in the garbage. I sanitize my hands a number of times when I'm on the plane. I don't touch nothing. 2 weeks ago, I had to travel locally, and I needed to get a car and driver. I said to the company, I want a driver who is vaccinated. Yeah. And he must wear his mask for the entire trip, as I will wear my mask for the entire trip.
Well, and I hope they come.
Let me throw one at you. I'm a union man. Here is a company that have 210 workers. 150, 170 has taken the vaccine. Let us split it. Let's say 200. 100 has taken the vaccine. 100 said them not take no vaccine. The 100 that has taken the vaccine say to the manager, sir, we are afraid to work with those who have not taken the vaccine because the top scientists of the world, the top medical professionals, the top psychologists and psychiatrists have advised me that taking the vaccine protects my life. So I am not working with those people who are not. So the manager is in trouble now because 100 take it, 100 don't. Him don't have no business.
Well,
he has to now decide to either lay off the 100 who don't take it. That's a consequence. Lay off the 100 who has taken a consequence. So he said to me, Mr. Charles, if the government has just said everybody must take this thing, we'll not take it, Because guess what? People who not taking it don't know why.
Well, and if
I've heard a man who haven't been not even to high school outlining the steel that this liquid is going to form in his body and come to one place that it can attract steel from outside in such a way that you don't believe the man is a professor.
So like so much, want to go to the deeper thing now, because many people, for whatever reasons, economic reasons, ideological reasons, do not accept that for every right there is some responsibility correlative to it, Doctor.
That's where we have to know, that's where the rubber hits the road.
Yeah.
We have to really, and the question, there's always a responsibility and always a consequence. The question is, who will bear it?
Yeah, hey.
Will you bear it? By default, remember one of my premises, Ronnie, anything that takes place in the public sphere, if not regulated, will have to be subsidized.
So Dr. Semaj, when we come back from the break, then let us understand how we're going to attempt to put forward very humbly some precept to society that says if you're going to be, if you're going to claim your rights, which all of us want to, that in fact there is some responsibility, and you can't just fire back and say slavery done our man free. Who you for tell me what to do?
And Ronnie, let Lakin say to us when we come back, whether I'm going to say to the manager, listen, you insure my 100 man them, who take it, and if any of them sick, you're responsible for them.
I tell you, big questions on the public eye, always on the bridge, soon come. We're talking about personal rights and personal responsibilities. Dr. Samaj, Chief Charles was asking in that example he gave about the business owner with some vaccinated and some not. Who going to pay for your insurance? Who must pay for testing? Because you have a whole heap of man who will send me, I'm free. I don't have to do all those things. That's your responsibility if you want me to do it. Except, Dr. Samaj, when they line up to get a visa, because at that point, Everybody keep them out and take the jab.
Again, exactly. And you notice that when late last year, when the United States made a decision that everyone traveling to the US must be vaccinated, that was a game changer for many, many people.
It was.
A lot of people just quieted. You heard the report yesterday that over 400 nurses left last year for the United States.
Yeah.
And it was alluded to in the discussion that a lot of those same nurses had refused to be vaccinated in Jamaica. Mm-hmm. But once the opportunity came to go to America,
they're vaccinated.
They worked the program right away.
Yeah.
Now, you see, in my work running, and I've shared this with the medical association, I've shared this as widely as I possibly can, I see vaccine hesitancy as a cognitive disorder.
A cognitive disorder? What is that? Some kind of madness?
No.
Well, no, just a distorted thinking.
You make up your mind that you don't care what happened. Although the advice come from the doctors and the scientists that we have spent billions of dollars, millions of hours, top-class people sat down and like we do for all the other viruses that have hit us in the past, we have done for this. What happened?
Is that what you mean, Kim?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we came out of 4 years of misinformation, alternate facts. You can have your own truths, disparaging science, using the most powerful office in the world to do it, with the most powerful media to do it.
Yeah,
it has taken its toll on the world.
That's Trump.
Normally, less than 5% of people are vaccine resistors.
Yeah.
In most situations.
Yeah.
And they do so for philosophical or religious reasons. But now, what we're seeing in Jamaica, my estimate is that the majority of Jamaicans who are vaccine hesitant have no valid reason to do it. That's one of the reasons why what I have done for a number of companies is I will reason with the staff on your behalf. Now, politicians reasoning with Jamaicans about change is not the best, because 80% of Jamaicans do not trust politicians.
What?
The data shows us that 80% of Jamaicans
Pernell, get real.
Do not trust politicians.
Yeah. Well,
one side or the other.
Not all politicians are politicians.
Anyway, wait. Make him finish your point.
Oh, no, we know that. Look here, there are some politicians who people don't even see them as politicians because they don't, no, you don't like the rest of them. But whether we like it or not, to transform behavior. Now, again, both of you are politicians as such. When politicians want to convince people of something to get it done, they do not rely on press releases and press conferences.
That's right.
They get down in the trenches. They go house to house, community to community. They identify who are the key persons in the community and reason with them. What we have done to a large extent is rely on press release and press conferences. That does not change behavior. But when you start to reason, I had a wonderful discussion this morning with Michael Abrams, and he gave me a case where a friend of his who was totally against the vaccine, and he explained the reasoning that went through between both of them over a period of time. At the end of it, the man said, you know, Mike, I'm going to get it next week. Because each person, there are 12 different cognitive disorders that people are working on to prevent them from taking it. Now, you have to diagnose and know which one is fueling them. You can't just give them logic. You can't just give them reason, because what they have done, they have mixed pieces of facts with a special secret sauce that only them know. So you can't use logic and reason. You have to literally reason with them almost one-on-one to see where they're. Now, if you notice that a very small intervention was done by SMA, Spectrum Management Authority, and they offered the persons a phone card and a KFC voucher. The first go around, 150 people turned up to be vaccinated. The second go, over 800 turn up. You know why that is? Most people who are vaccine hesitant gentlemen, have no good reason not to take it.
No reason at all.
But you give them a good reason to take it. You get a phone call. And it doesn't have to be an expensive reason. Because they can just, well, I never want to take it, you know, but. And let me give you two other ways that we have not worked with the possibility.
But let me pause you right there and ask you. If all of this is good and we want to hear the other two and more, but if you're looking at public policy now, to say that it is wrong to discriminate, use that term with all it implies, against those who decline for whatever reason, can that be reasonable argument, Dr. Samaj? It's been used against you.
The wording was the problem. The wording discriminate conjures up some emotional valence which triggers.
Yeah.
Listen, emotions are more transmissible faster than any virus. Emotions are more contagious than any virus. So that if you're about to say something and you use a word that triggers a negative emotion, everything else you say after that is blocked. So that was a mistake to use that word.
Okay.
Once you do it, you don't double down after that. No, what you do now, you clarify. I don't really mean discriminate. I mean differentiate. In the same way that, and we can give you many examples.
Sure. But when you're
two examples I use yesterday in my broadcast. One, helmets and seat belts. We encourage people to use seat belts and helmets on motorcycles. And we differentiate between if you ride with a helmet, it's a very, very different probability. And if you notice how, if you fill out an insurance application for insurance, they ask you some basic questions about your lifestyle. Do you drive race cars? Do you ride motorcycles?
Are you politically exposed? You know that one.
That's a very interesting one. That's part of our reality. Are you politically exposed? Yes, I know that term. Your premium goes up.
Your premium goes up. Not only you let Mr. Charles and I cry on your shoulder. Your wife's premium go up. Your picnic children go up. Yes, you're made some kind of economic leper because your daddy in politics. Yes. Anyway.
Exactly. So that's what those are the risk factors we're dealing with.
That's what we do to ourselves. But when you're talking about a national policy now, I'm anxious to hear more of the ways in which we can persuade. But if I were in government, I would be scratching my head because here is the Minister of Tourism. Yes, trying his best, I'm sure. And he's saying, look here, we could really revive the tourist industry if we had a higher level of vaccination. Yes? And yet you have prominent people who preceded us on the program today, people in high offices like Mr. Stewart and Dr. Gentleman who you mentioned, all of these, Mr. Epstein, saying it's discrimination. People have a right to choose. And if you want to say they can't come to this or I'm not attending that alongside with you, you who want to be careful, you who have been victimized, become the victim. You are made to be the aggressor of human rights. That is perverted thinking. That is a cognitive disorder, sir.
There's a choice.
That's why
there's a choice.
Yeah.
If you want to work with me,
yes,
you have to take the vaccination.
No, but they're saying...
If you have a choice, you either come to work or you don't come to work.
But they're saying, many of those people are saying, no, it's the other way around, Mr. Charles. If you don't want to associate with me who exercise my right not to be vaccinated,
you mustn't come in.
You take for yourself. Like we are thinking upside down.
And that's why I'm saying that.
Give us a psychological name.
Distorted thinking. Distorted thinking.
That's a serious thing, you know.
That can kill you.
That's why I'm saying that we have to identify. That's why I went the route of insurance, because we understand insurance. What are the risk factors? Are there not activities where you are asked to sign a disclaimer?
Yes.
That I assume all risk.
Yes.
And if anything happened to me, I hug it up.
Don't check for it.
So we have to start raising that kind of discussion. so that if persons insist on certain actions, they cannot immunize themselves from the consequence of those actions. So that's why I use the language of insurance, premium level, risk level, so that we broaden the discussion. I said to the powers that be from the very beginning, I reached out to Dr. Tufton and said 2 years ago, what we have is a behavioral problem, long before we get a medical problem. If the behavioral problem of mask, that's behavior. Sanitize, that's behavior. Social distance. Ronnie, if any place, if that was done, the virus wouldn't last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Behavior. Just do what you mask, sanitize, social distance. No, we didn't do that. So now the virus had room to multiply and morph and morph and morph.
Yeah.
We have a vaccine now, which gives us another choice, another chance.
Right.
It is still a behavior.
Yeah.
The behavior to take it or not to take it.
Yeah.
So that we still are in the position, we really have to get past the cognitive bias by any means necessary.
Doctor, I walk into my office and there were at least 25 women and some had children with them. And one person convinced them that they are not to take it. So I came in and one said, Mr. Charles, you want to hear what your office said? I said, all right, lift up your sleeve. And let me see your left hand. Oh, what is that scar? Why, as my mother did carry me. Everybody took their vaccination. And one woman said, mine did dead, and they said, no, go take it again. So it's twice me take. No, look at it. Is it then that there was a law? Is it then that it was said, you must get your vaccination and hand the vaccination paper to the principal before you can come in? And everybody took it.
At what stage is a public concern, a public imperative, like fighting a pandemic, like reacting to a fire, a volcano, a hurricane, anything? At what point does the state have the right to say, with appropriate proportionality, look here, you are obliged to do the following or not to do the following? Dr. Samaj, this is a live issue.
The state always has, in fact, a state has a monopoly on certain activities. And if you're a part of that state, you are under the jurisdiction of that. So it's not a matter that, well, then persons just do what they feel like. There's always the collective responsibility, the collective good, and you balance that with individual choices. There are parameters where you can operate totally within your preferences, but once it impacts your neighbor, it impacts on the society. Is that you're not free to drive on whatever side of the road you prefer.
No.
Again, there are consequences, there are risk, and all of that must be. You see, what's happened, that populism, which has identified a number of countries, have gotten caught up in this.
Yeah.
One of my papers that I did last year, and I did a video based on it, looked at leadership on the coronavirus.
Okay.
The 7 countries that have had the best impact are all headed by women.
Yeah.
And both in Iceland and
New Zealand,
the Prime Minister, what the Prime Minister first did, she arranged a national press briefing via media to children. She said, I want to talk to the children. And she explained to the children what the virus was and what the consequences are, and took questions from the children. Because once you explain things to children, children will explain to their parents. And that's how she broke the back of the whole thing. Talk to the children. Explain in the language that children can understand. So we haven't even touched that, because what has happened is that the resistance, and since much of it is not deep-seated, It is being pushed by a few conspiracy theorists and individuals, but the data is overwhelming that we have, so the state has to hold hard in. But my suggestion now, if we start discussing the risk factor, the premium that different risks will bear, and we say now, who will bear what part of the risk? Look, when you, in many jurisdictions, if a child, a 17-year-old child getting a driver's license and applies for insurance for the car, the premium is 5 times that of a 35-year-old male or female.
Yeah.
Because the actuarial tables tells us that that represents a higher level of risk. That 17-year-old just getting a driver's license, male especially, is a different risk profile. And either you want the insurance, which you must get the insurance, but the state says you must have insurance to drive. So I'm saying that it is not much different. The state has to hold its position, but explain the risk factor and the proportional risk and who will pay the premium.
Let me ask you a far-reaching question before we run out of time. It is this. Do you think, or how do we educate our people surging for freedom, coming out of a history and circumstances of where personal freedom, movement, all these things have been largely circumscribed by all kinds of reasons? How do you educate them towards a perception of a deep appreciation for the common good as the cornerstone of social order, Dr. Semaj?
Slowly, carefully, cautiously, and involving the arts and the storytellers and the media, all the things. Let me give you a quick example. There was a song that Mikey Bennett wrote from about South Africa. You remember that song? Can you swim on the beach you want to? Can you stay out late at night? And Brian and Tony Gold, Jamaican, sung that song over 20 years ago. Big hit.
Yeah.
But they were describing life in South Africa.
Yeah.
No, that song came to life again when we heard the restrictions in Jamaica. You can't go to the beach. Beaches are closed. Rivers are closed. You can't go out late at night. But so yes, you're right. But somebody has to explain the relationship between rights and responsibilities. And in contrast to that in South Africa, it was based on race where you couldn't go to the beach and you can't. So that when we're talking about gathering, that's why I'm saying press conferences and press releases doesn't change behavior. Somebody needs to get to people where they live.
Let me boast one of you. And I think I said it to my colleague, Reddy. If all the members of parliament, all the councillors, all the caretakers were instructed by their leaders to tell their constituency workers of this danger, we would go somewhere, because a large population of that, and the people have no reason
but you see, Pernell, that should have been done from the beginning.
Exactly.
It's kind of hard now because positions have become calcified.
Yeah, but hold on now, brethren.
Same way that if you were on election footing, what you said a while ago, Pernell, that's what you'd have done. All councillors, everybody would have been out there in the community.
But he said something else, which needs your comment. He says, suppose everybody, government and opposition, PNP and JLP, he meant, yes? The key to effective or more effective public education, that exquisitely sensitive, gradual process that Dr. Leakim Semaj just outlined, has a presupposition of some measure of national unity.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, no.
Let's go further with that one. The position articulated by P.J. Patterson.
Yeah.
That what's preventing us from becoming a republic is we need to have a conversation between the leader of the opposition and the leader of the government, that we are in this thing, and we will go to the people together.
Yeah. But
because in order for you to get 60%,
not a one-upmanship.
Exactly.
Well,
no party in Jamaica has ever got 60% of the vote, which is what would be required to go to become a republic. So both party leaders have to come together and would have to go to the public as one voice and say, listen, we are in full agreement. No, you are right. If we had this, we didn't have an opposition and government on this. Here is one voice where we are as a people. Nobody's going to try and score points and say, well, I am for freedom. No, I am for mandate. No. We are all in the same storm, but not the same boat.
Right. So
this is it's in my
that's what
opinion.
we stand for on the bridge, yeah?
This is, in my opinion, a way, because the people who are not taking this thing don't have a reason.
Well,
they don't have a medical reason.
Okay, but if you had, they would have less of a reason and less of an excuse. Yes, less of a pretext. If in fact they felt that there was a united front for the first time at last, as somebody else greater than I said. Yes, and if and as we close, if we were able to do that about COVID, where there really is no big difference, because the science must lead everybody. Yes, and the common threat. What a foundation this could be. What a springboard for other areas of national coalition.
The dominoes will start to fall. The domino for crime, the domino for education, the dominoes would start to fall. If we could show that common front in the face of. Clearly, we have 3 existential threats in Jamaica now. One, COVID. The other is crime. So that if we don't get this right, folks, we are in trouble.
Is it too late?
It's never too late, but it's harder now. It's harder now, but it's never too late.
Yeah.
It's never too late.
Right, Lakin, what if the hospitals are full and those who get COVID coming don't have the vaccination, and somebody who had an appointment and have their vaccination and is also on the verge of dying is told that they have to set back for somebody who have COVID who didn't take the vaccination, although you were begging them. This
hard no.
What about donkeys about this thing, no?
World no level.
Medical triage doesn't allow for including political variance.
Yeah.
You see? and the reason, and that's why a lot of people are otherwise dying. People have had their cancer surgery.
Sure.
Or their treatments put off for a year.
Yes, look at that. Death sentence.
A lot of people are dying because of not being able to get ordinary treatment over the last 2 years.
Exactly. Well, and I heard somebody in their room just say a while ago, it's a true thing.
Yeah. Well,
if Mr. Golden and Mr. Andrew say, listen, all of my supporters are required. PNP.
We are saying.
JLP. We are saying. It is good for all of us.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning, we are going to line up.
To end up.
Come with me.
Yes, come with you. That's it.
Come with me.
Lakim Samaj, thanks for setting us straight. Plenty of good distinctions. Happy to have you on board. All the best.
My pleasure.
Good. Dr. Lakim Samaj of Above and Beyond, quantum transformational psychologist on the public eye with Pernell Charles and myself. We soon come back. You hear? And the technology is amazing, yes?
Right. You remember there was a time when to send a letter to America is 3 days. And to get back anything from Australia is 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes.
It's
and
2 seconds.
And to make a phone call, you had to line up in front of Cable and Wireless on Halfway Tree Road or Duke Street.
Take 10 seconds to tell you this. I am glad that I have lived to see technology at this.
Yes.
But with what is going on, suppose you could live to say 20 years from now.
Boy, I tell you.
So I say to my son, him say, Daddy, you know, I have no problem.
Yeah.
All we need is a place to land because we ain't going to drive no car.
I hear that there's one.
There will be helicopters flying around.
Car.
And that's flying cars.
Yeah, man, my one already in Europe,
the
in
one on the
Slovakia.
road.
Yes.
Right?
Tell you, life change up. Yeah, so it's a brave new world. But my concern is that we will have all that technology, but unless you have wholesome minds, if you have generous hearts, if you have soulful liberty, then all of the technology is going to lead us to Armageddon.
And those of us who have been privileged to have an education must not mislead those who did not get that privilege.
This is it. I mean, Dr. Samaj was his usual clear self. But I am surprised at some of the people who are taking this view that they have a right to make choices about themselves, which is we all agree on. But there are consequences to your choice, and you cannot make me the victim of your the consequence of your choice. You can't do that.
What bothers me is that those people don't have a reason, a medical reason,
but
for not taking it.
But they have a moral one, or a amoral one, we would say. But they think that this is their right, this is their surge towards manhood or womanhood, that this is their breakout from freedom. After all, no slave, then no more. You can go and believe the science, Mr. Ronnie, because you go university and so on. But me know what my pastor say.
Yes. Well, it's because so many people are also waiting to hear what their pastor said, or the political leader.
Yes, sir.
Those are two very important areas.
Well,
and if they say it right, people will go and take it.
Well, this is it. But then, sir, I'm going to take you back to our hobby horse. We have crafted a political culture which makes it almost impossible for us to agree on the things that are really going to help people to avoid the stupidness of rumor and gossip. And we continue to defend that thing. And you and I both know that when you are active in it, it sucks you in. So that you can't, if the two of us
you can't oppose. If because you oppose, you are pushed out.
If the two of us were active as we used to be, we're still involved. But if we were active as we used to be, some of the things that we agree on, we wouldn't agree on.
I couldn't.
But because but then makes sense.
We would be told.
That don't make sense.
I hear you talking to it Ronnie this morning. Yeah. And you agree with PNP?
Yeah.
What I agree
That's the greatest heresy.
They agree, said they must go take something and take that.
And
then that man would call you up and say, what is this? You know, no, says Andrew tell Pearl if he tell you that.
All that. So hold on. So we have
it's wise now to what we say that the politics that we preach today
Peter Phillip
is not one that unites because it has to be separated for the split power.
And it is
for the power to split, for who to get it.
And it is a split up thing. And the behavior. Remember Dr. Samaj was talking about behavior change at the base of all this. It is the behavior that's consequential on the systemic direction that is causing all the problems in the country. He was look at here. He's a reputable psychologist, a reputable commentator. Yes. I don't know which political side him depend. I've never asked him, and I don't need to ask him. Okay, it's immaterial. Here's what the man says: that if the political leaders and their major followers were able to do what you said, which is to say, "Come now, follow me," your words.
Yes.
Yeah. We're going to go get the vaccination because you really don't have no reason. Come explain it to you. That more would. Tourism could open up. Business could have get back.
And let's go a little further. Yeah. If the union leaders could say to their members, if the hotel management could say to their workers, not quarreling.
No. But
just say, listen.
So it go. So
people who are coming here are vaccinated, and they are nervous that who are not vaccinated may communicate something to them. So let's put the thing. It could work, but we all know reach some stage, as Ronnie, as Lakin is saying, it's nearly late.
Whoa, no visa, no ticket, but we're coming to the tri-state area with Irie Jam. Beau-regard, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How you doing?
We're having a nice time here. I hope you are in New York.
Yes, the weather is lovely on this side. We got rid
What?
of the freezing rain and the snow, so we're better off today.
You're better off today.
Yes.
Boy, I tell you.
But let me ask you, those people who are going to be privileged, well, I don't know if it's privileged or otherwise. I see that New York is heading to say you can take off the mask. Is it from people who have been vaccinated?
Or everybody.
Well,
Any and anybody?
it would go for everyone. Yes,
So-
it would go
so-
for everyone.
How you
So-
feel about that, B?
I feel good about it, actually. That simply tells me that, we're getting back to where we want to be, and, we're getting rid of the Omicron and the COVID.
So we kill Omicron in New York then?
Yes, it's going down. The cases are dropping rapidly
Okay,
each
so
and
a
every
guy
day, so
who
that's
is
a
not
good thing.
vaccinated and who monks up himself with you is okay?
Well, I don't really ask people who...
Don't hitch, Bo.
No, what I'm saying is you can't tell who's vaccinated from who's not vaccinated.
No, but suppose you know. It's okay?
No, well, I'm fine with, taking
Yes.
care of myself and making sure that
No,
I
you couldn't take
wear
care-
my mask in places where I need to wear it.
Okay, all right, got you.
know?
No, but you have to wear.
understood.
You
But
have
you're
to
not-
make. You have to
it's
make sure that the person who you privileged to come to you, or you to go to them, will not communicate the thing to you, although you have been vaccinated.
Let me ask a sensitive question. I'm not cross-examining you, Bo.
No,
Let
no,
me
no.
ask us a sensitive question. We are 3 men.
Yes.
3 of us are men.
Yes.
Would you sleep with a woman who wasn't vaccinated?
Answer up there.
And I don't think they're saying. I haven't heard any
Ronnie,
information yet.
Ronnie.
I've not heard any.
Ronnie, since you get it, since you get it,
No, man, answer.
I've not heard that
You're
this disease.
since
I've not heard that the COVID has been able to be transmitted sexually yet. so.
No.
But since Ronnie get into my sex life, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. There are several types of kisses, right?
Yeah.
And you kiss babies,
Yes.
and you kiss some people on the jaw.
Yes.
I haven't kissed anybody for 2 years except
Except.
who I know have two, 3.
The gospel.
And my wife even said to me, "It's all right." And we have our 3 shots.
Yeah.
So I have been free for the past 2 years that I haven't kissed anybody.
I could never manage. I could never.
We commend.
He's a churchman, so he have to do some kissing.
We commend the people who have taken the vaccine and try to make sure that they're taking care of themselves. But there are actually people out here who have not looked in that direction for the last 2 years, and they're still going about their daily lives healthy.
But if you thought that if you thought that it was likely that their condition was such that they might be transmitting cholera or smallpox or measles to you, you would urge them to protect themselves as best they could, wouldn't you?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, man. That is all that we're saying.
And one of the things that I've looked at through this whole COVID-19 is the fact that we're here trying to save our lives from, they're saying, the deadliest disease in history. The deadliest virus in history, and they're actually giving away the cure for it free. So now we need to start lobbying for free health care, because there are a lot of things out here that we should be getting the cure for free.
Okay, but then how do you build pressure for that, Beau-regard? Big point you're making. How do you build pressure for that now when you have the free health care, the health remedy? Or assistance in respect of the vaccine, and the very people who are going to lobby for free health care themselves don't want that.
But Ronnie, before you answer,
how that work?
Do you know that if people, and it's a good point you're making, if people know that this government will not have money to purchase vaccine and not going to get no more after a certain time, man going to say, listen, I'm going to take this thing, because it does not hurt. Look on your left hand if you don't have a scar.
But Bo, you're born in Jamaica.
Yes.
Your arm must have it.
Yes, I do. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So you were vaccinated. Thanks to your mother who make you vaccinate, because you couldn't go to school without it.
Thanks for the prologue for this global section of the public eye. Phillip Paulwell, greetings. Phillip, are you there?
to my dear friend Colonel. Good to see you both.
Thank you very much.
Phillip, I hope you're laughing that this man here put me on a sex problem a while ago. I could hardly answer.
Listen, I have been enjoying the discussion.
So I'm bringing you in. Have you been vaccinated?
I have been vaccinated twice in Jamaica and once in the United States.
Wonderful. I thought he needed a lawyer, Phillip. But
so you're ahead of us.
And yes. No, Colonel has lawyers all around him.
All around him. We know that. And we're broadcasting with our friends in the tri-state area of New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey, linking with Irie Jam. Thanks so much for joining us, Phillip Paulwell. We've been talking about the prospects of building national consensus. We've been talking about fostering the deeply philosophical, some would say theological notion of the common good as the foundation of society. You recently have extended yourself and spoken of the need for common cause in respect of crime fighting in Jamaica. Give us a background. Tell us the origin of this stretch, this political position that you've taken.
Yeah. Thanks very much, and I'm really very pleased to be on the program again, Ronnie and Colonel. The Gleaner has asked me to reflect on my 30 years in public life as an independence baby. And in my thinking, I have come away with a number of things. And I tell you, Ronnie, when you reflect on your own, the part that you have played in the process, and what more could have been done, it becomes, very salutary. I believe that on a range of issues, if we were able to put aside tribalism, the nature of our politics, and perhaps it is inherent in a two-party competitive system, but we have to come to the point where there are certain things that ought to override the politics, that must come above the politics. And I believe that thing must be rooted in patriotism, our love for our country, our desire to get consensus on certain things that are crucial to our survival, to our development, and for us not to backslide into partisanship and tribalism. And you have been pivotal in one such area, which is education. But I believe that today, our number one problem as a country, barring nothing else, is the level of antisocial crime and violence that persists for the last many decades. And if we can together, PNP, JLP, No Peace, the church, everybody coming together to focus on this, to achieve consensus, then to me, that would be the heights of patriotism. And I believe that it should not be beyond us, especially in this, our 60th year. Crime and violence, I think, can be solved in a way that will inure to the greater benefit of our country.
We all agree with you, and I'm proud of you that you take this stand and do so explicitly. But I have to ask you, what is keeping us from doing that?
It is inherent in the lack of trust that we have across the political divide.
Lack of trust.
I don't think there has been meaningful engagement, consultation, a la the Vale Royal talks of yesteryear. I believe that we now need to get our political leadership, our entire private sector body, the church. The church is going to be pivotal. And probably the leadership shouldn't even come from our politicians. It probably should get to another stakeholder, and that will enable greater trust as we identify some of the critical things that we need to do to move forward on this issue of
how many joint meetings have we had? How many efforts have there been to pull together people Partnership for Progress is one rubric I've heard of. Various private sector organizations. I see Lloyd Diston Jr. shaking his head that so many of the promises that were made by everybody haven't been realized. We've had this impasse over the state of emergency. Phillip Paulwell, we need to move from this very, very admirable consciousness that you are speaking of, that many people can agree with, to some kind of action. What happens in Parliament? Does anybody talk about this anymore? Did they ever do so?
Well, again, Ronnie, I was privileged recently to sit on the committee that was reviewing the Zozo law.
Yeah, good.
And I was very impressed with how the chairman, Minister Chang, handled the meeting along with the colleagues from both sides, from both chambers. Yeah. And it was quite refreshing.
Yes.
And I'm not too sure if it's because the cameras didn't focus too much on the activities there.
Yeah.
But we need to get that same spirit where people are searching, grappling with the issues. So on one hand, we had the state apparatus, the police and soldiers. And then we had the NGOs, those other elements who were pushing a different approach.
Yeah.
And we came away with the view that, yes, we have to meld both approaches, but there is a need for greater focus on the social side of things, rather than on the suppression side.
Well, the first,
I think
your statement, and I've heard you say this before, now you're expanding on it. Pernell, that's a very good sign. That work of that committee alone is a breakthrough.
But let me tell you, go back from the beginning.
Yeah.
It started where I can do more for you than him can do. And he said, I can, and this was I go into an organization, and I go into an organization. And in order for us to achieve the top, you have to have more eyes on your side.
Yeah, but
so what Phillip is saying, and I must say, it has been said. It has been said by the Prime Minister. It has been said by Peter Phillips. The time has come when we have to restructure our politics. We have to reorganize our politics. Because it is dividing the nation to the point where we don't have 50% of the people voting.
When we come back from the break, Phillip Paulwell, Member of Parliament, Pernell Charles, the Honourable former Speaker and Minister of the House. Yes, let us discuss what it would take to reorganize the politics. What form would it take? Is there a real prospect? Is there a route, R-O-U-T-E, towards some measure of national unity at least? And first, on the issue of crime prevention. Joining with Irie Jam in New York and Beau-regard, this is The Bridge 99. Public Eye, soon come back. Phillip Paulwell is our guest. Pernell Charles is a co-host. Phillip Paulwell, does your thinking on this matter, is it representative of the thinking in the People's National Party?
Well, I hope so. I was very pleased when I heard former party leader Peter Phillips delivered his presentation in Parliament recently. And I know it has been a theme that we have been discussing for some time now. I do believe that the new party leader, Mark Golin, is also of the view that we have to depart from the tribal past. So I believe that it is, you will find support, good support in the PNP. I'm really hoping that it will extend to the government, because I tell you, the government has to provide leadership here, because normally it is the opposition that will be opposing, and you do need to bring the opposition in. And I do believe that Prime Minister Holness missed an opportunity recently, and we're not going to castigate him too much, but when the former Prime Minister, P.J. Patterson, suggested to him that himself and party leader Mark Golin could come together, and in this, our year of the 60th anniversary of our independence, could work towards putting Jamaica on a path to become a Republican state. I thought we missed that opportunity when he said that, it ought to be more than just symbolism. I believe that we have an opportunity this year, Ronnie, as we've gone through this pandemic that has really bruised us severely, as we have seen this rise in crime and violence, for everybody to realize that it is not worth fighting over if we continue in this way. I can just imagine, you and I sat in a cabinet, Ronnie, for a period of time. I can just imagine the difficulty of the current cabinet to have to go through the last 2 years of a pandemic, the issues that they are faced with daily. I think they need our help. I think the country should be mobilized to help this government that is really seen some difficult times. And I tell you, it's also good politics for the opposition to do so.
Phillip, let me say this to you. Honestly, it is the politics that is stopping it.
It is
the politics of power that is stopping the united approach to these problems.
Yeah, but
it is who will win. Now, hold on, I'm not opposing because we've been trying to get this.
Yes.
If you read my book, you'll see it there.
Yes, I do.
But the point is, have we now, with a thing like this, haven't we reached a stage where it is leadership? Ronnie, it is leadership. It is the MPs on both sides. The people have to see them, have to hear them say it. Right? So when Peter made the point that there has to be a restructuring, that there has to be an engagement with where the leaders speak with one voice to the nation one night when they're not looking vote.
Yeah, but hold on now. You see, Phillip, reason this through with us. Pernell is right. I hear Perkins laughing from heaven. Or
I said, I told you so.
Oh my God! But it is by my thinking, it is the reverse of successful politics. Because if you do not find common cause, if we do not successfully reduce crime, you realize that eventually you will not succeed in whether you're PNP or JLP. You will not succeed in your objectives, and the people will inevitably, as they have done time and time again, spit you out.
Well, could I jump one there?
Yes.
And it's going to be political, so prepare yourself for it.
Well,
here is it.
Yeah.
That a resolution comes to Parliament.
Yeah.
If both parties agree on the resolution, the success of that resolution comes while one party is in power.
So what?
So hold on now. You can say, why not? The other man say, you see,
so
you make it happen under that man, and that man succeed, and we going to lose vote.
Lord have mercy. Phillip, reply to Pernell for me now.
Hold on, but the truth is this. Yeah. That is what the system is.
Yeah, but that's corrupt.
Not only corrupt. We want to. That is what Phillip wants to get rid of.
Yes.
That's what me and you know. Yes. And a man who say you just know. Yes. Should I know a long time.
Never mind.
Whereas the man will say better to be late than never.
Mr. Paulwell, your time.
Yeah. Ronnie and Pernell.
Yes.
We have 60% of this country that is saying a pox on your both houses. And they have been driven to that position because of the nature of the politics.
Yes.
I believe that it's a win-win for the PNP and also a win-win for the JLP. But for us, if we are seen to cooperate because we are patriotic, if we are seen to practice a gentler type of politics, if we are seen to be less aggressive and more accommodating, if we are seen to support even those far-reaching, very important policy directives of the government, I think we can get back some of that 60%. I really believe so. So it is good politics now. If we don't, we're going to be losing more and more of our people because they say that the thing is too toxic. We are always at each other's throat. We say bad things about each other. And that's why they are so turned off. I think if we start to say some good things about each other, if we start to applaud good policies and support good policies while putting forward our own views, I think we could get back some of the people.
Well, I want to follow. In my view, this issue about the state of emergency, just to be very specific, it is irresponsible that we haven't been able to come to some consensus on that. As far as I'm concerned, although I am fundamentally against repressive policing, if the approach to a state of emergency had been to say that when you detain a person on suspicion, that you have to bring him or her periodically before a court for the determination as to whether there is a charge to be pressed, yes? And if you had balanced, as the government says it wants to do, proper social interventions alongside containment policing, if I were there, I would have voted for it, Philip. Provided those things. No, those things are not beyond negotiation, are they?
They're clearly not. And here is another opportunity that has gone to waste. The government could have invited the opposition to sit down.
Sit down, let's work out this thing.
Not done. My view is that we do not have now a viable crime plan. And the only thing that separates some of those gunmen and my own people in my constituency is the ability of the police to go in and to lock down an area and even to remove some people for the time being. It is not what I want, but it is what is there now as the crime plan. I think it requires the government and opposition coming together. There are some certain ideas that have been on the books for so long. I think we need to agree on them. When they get to Parliament, we need to show a united effort and tackle it that way. But you're right, we are not going to be able to achieve that if we don't have...
Philip, let me help you. Let me help you. You're a PNP man, and I'm going to help you. You know what you have done? You have slipped it from some of the JLP people. If the PNP and the JLP leadership could proceed on one route, each of them would hold their base.
Of course.
Now, if you don't come with Andrew, and Andrew succeed, you're going to lose your base. If you come with him, right? All right. If you are right for not coming, Andrew will lose his base. But no, if both of you work and succeed, you hold your base. And that is where I think Paulwell has...
I'm willing to take your formulation, but at the end of the day, don't we all have to ask ourselves the question, what are we in this for? Paulwell began, Colonel Charles, with a statement that I want to remind him and ourselves of, that when you, in your quiet moments, whether you're retired from the fray like you and me, or in it still, but after 30 years with Phillip, and you say, what have I achieved? Why was this worth it all? What more could I have done? Yes? Then you recognize first of all, the inadequacy of the systemic platform that you've been in, and the need to really elevate it. Philip Paulwell, are you in favor of proportionate representation?
Yes, I am. But let me just go back to the issue of the base. Because I wasn't speaking to the base. I was speaking to the 60%.
Yes.
I think you're going to be able to hold your base regardless. You don't want to take them for granted, but you're going to have your base regardless. What we need to pitch at, both sides, if we're going to have a democracy that is vibrant, is those 60% that need to see us working closer together, that need to see us agreeing on some of the fundamental things like crime and violence going forward.
Okay, now we're talking to the diaspora today as well as to a Jamaican audience. How do you think the diaspora would relate to what we're talking about? How do you think, Beau-regard, are you listening? How do you think people who have been abroad, who have a wider perspective, who want the best for their country, you think they will warm to what Philip Paulwell is saying? Let me ask him. Bro, you there?
Yes, Mr. Thwaites.
What is your reaction to what you're hearing? Tell me your thoughts and tell me what you think your audience...
From your base.
Yes, from your base.
Well, I think Mr. Phillips have some very good points. And I believe that what he's saying that a lot of Jamaicans here would actually agree with.
So when you go, when you come New York or Hartford, Connecticut or Hoboken, New Jersey, you divide up into PNP and JLP, or you stand up as Jamaican when you face some of the racism and the hard times and you hear the bad news about Jamaica. Is what you do.
Actually, people are unified here now. We don't really separate when it comes to that here in the United States as far as JLP and PNP. So it's always, people actually, use that as fun. When I was in Jamaica, I was this, or I used to do this, or I used to do that. And they still, cheer for their party and whatever the case is, but it's not that serious.
Yeah. So there is something instructive about the diaspora, Pernell, Philip, that we can think of. Philip Paulwell, do you know that Pernell Charles admits that he was a federalist at one stage of his youth?
Philip, before you answer, which student abroad, which Jamaican or Trinidadian abroad, right, looking on you colonialists out here, right, would not want to see a united Caribbean?
Absolutely.
You understand?
But Pernell was instrumental in the failure.
As it is now,
yes.
As it is now, right? Our diaspora are not looking PNP or JP way. They look.
Why do you think I asked the question? Looking nationally,
they look towards the United. Those that we are talking to in the morning are talking about Jamaica. Yeah. But if they land here, they are forced into either supporting one side or the side.
Well, I'm really hoping as we move on to other subjects with Philip Paulwell that his position, his statements, and what he has to say about a thawing of relations between the two sides can be continued, and certainly our voices are united in that regard. Philip, I hope there are more instances that allow for this, and that we generate at least the beginning of a discussion on this, eh?
Philip, let me ask you the embarrassing. Let me ask you the embarrassing question, because I have to embarrass you. How many of who you didn't know would do it have warned you? Say, look here, you're going to make a PNP lose, When you go like this, you're giving JLP a big hand,
Yeah. And my response to that, Pernell.
No, I'm not asking for the response. I am saying.
How much of them?
Yeah. I'm saying, put it on the easier way. Because I know that certain things I say, a man call me and say, I'm a quantitator to you, not PNP.
The world would come to an end.
And I said, why you don't see me turning him in a labor, right? So I am saying, Philip, when you make a presentation like that,
how much?
There are some people I could call name who's going to say to you, you're strengthening Andrew Onis.
But so what?
I'm not asking about the so what.
All right, let Philip answer.
But, all right, I'm not pushing you. When you say so what, I understand that you know what I understand.
But invariably, you will get that, Pernell. But, I just heard a response from our friend overseas.
Yes.
Listen, our diaspora, can you imagine how much more they would be contributing to our economy if you could cut murder by 50%? Can you imagine the value in real estate that would almost overnight be quadrupled? How many Jamaicans would want to come back home and invest in their homes here? Because this is where they really want to come, but they're afraid. So it is not about the current politics. It is not about the response from colleagues who might see it otherwise. I think we have to convince our colleagues that this is the best way for Jamaica, our homeland.
Well, I think
this is not the party politics.
No, but this interview is a breakthrough, because what we have here, and he won't be, I trust he's not the only one, is an active politician and someone with the history and length of service that Philip Paulwell has, who is saying, look, no, there are limitations of the present system. We need to move beyond. Add that to what Peter Phillips has said previously. Add that to what persons in the JLP have perhaps privately, but open up to. But if we can build on this, certainly, and we pray the consensus of the diaspora, as Beau-regard is reporting it, if we are able to draw people who perhaps are not of active political persuasion in Jamaica towards this, then I think we're really onto something. There is.
Randy, we are going there because if 50% of the nation voters are not participating.
Yeah, more than that.
You understand me? Yeah. It means that if they were looking to see a united force from which they are to make that choice, they were different. But now they are split.
Well, and split for what? Split to make things worse? Because there are other problems even beyond crime that we will need that some measure of united
and
front.
Phillip is right.
In order
we must
to
can put the thing together, because if crime is solved, both political parties and their supporters would be benefiting.
Well, and people will live, blood won't flow, which is bigger than any politics.
Of course.
Which should be the end of the objective of politics. Phillip, hold on a second. When we come back from the break, we have to switch the subject on you because we need to hear from you. You feel there's any future for the bauxite industry, sir? And what about the price of energy? See the gas gone up by more than 10% in the last couple of months. Phillip Paulwell, the Member of Parliament for East Kingston and Port Royal. Soon come. Phillip, two quick points. How, after the despoiling of the Jamaican environment by bauxite mining over the past 50, 60 years, how can we support any more bauxite mining when it is likely to go the same way when we're barely getting 2 shillings out of it now, sir, with this profit sharing that has been in place, even with the bauxite levy that I gather has been reinstituted? How can the PNP stand for continuation of this extractive and denuding and environmentally wasteful industry, sir?
The bauxite aluminum sector, as indeed other minerals that we expect to mine, is still an important sector in our economy. It does contribute to a sizable amount of our foreign exchange earning. And it has, and I agree with you, Ronnie, we have not done a good job at husbanding, at ensuring that sustainable efforts are put in place to deal with our environment. And in that regard, I support the move to ban mining in the cockpit country. It has been a position that we've had. When you and I were in the cabinet, we were about 3 or 4 months out of designating the cockpit country and putting a ban for mining. But outside of that, I believe that there's still good prospect for the bauxite aluminum sector. I believe that we have to earn a lot more than we are doing now by ensuring that the bauxite levy is properly administered, that the royalties are done, but they are not put into general revenues, that these funds are plowed back into these places where the mining takes place. But what I can say, Ronnie, aluminum, which is the metal from which bauxite alumina is derived, is going to continue to be a major metal. It is a flexible metal, it is renewable, it is also responsible for our aircrafts, our cars, and so on. So if we plan to continue to fly, if we plan to continue to drive, then there is going to be a future for aluminum. And if you tell me that you don't want our bauxite to be involved with that process, then where are we going to get it from? Should it be the other people's responsibility to build these machines? So what we have to do, and I don't believe that we have done a good job at it, is to make sure that when you mine, that reclamation is done, that all the necessary safeguards be put in place so that the lands can be properly reallocated to whether small farmers can be put back into productive use. And more importantly, that the levy that was instituted in the 70s to ensure that the country maximizes its benefit from this very important metal, that it be put in place, that it be certain that the level of concessions that all governments have been granting, that be minimized In fact, I don't believe that there should be any concessions once you set on a rate that is livable. There should not be any profit sharing schemes anymore, but that the people should derive a lot more from this industry that has been with us for almost 70 years. If you look at places like Mandeville, it is a bauxite aluminum industry that has caused that city to grow and develop.
What about Southwest St. Anne?
Southwest,
where Purnell comes from.
Yes.
Where Purnell comes from.
Yes. Phillip, just hold your word here. You were in Parliament when I was laughed at by my colleagues on several occasions when I get up to speak about mining in Jamaica. That where I come from in St. Anne has been left, it was a Garden of Eden.
Yeah, and now it's a desert, it's full of craters. Yes?
A desert have sand.
Yes.
We have some craters. If a donkey fall along on one of that, it cannot live and reach the bottom. Yeah. Same thing in St. Anne, same thing in Clarendon, same thing in Manchester, same thing in St. Elizabeth. But
so
listen to this. I went to the bauxite, Phillip, I went to the bauxite company and discovered that from the beginning,
yes, sir,
our leaders knew that. So that where you mine, how you mine, and what you do after you mine. Yeah. And in the contract, they say if you mine and leave it, you have to leave X amount of money for the government to do the reclamation.
Never happened. The two of you.
I don't know if it has ever happened.
What do you mean? You know it. The two of you are living in illusions.
The reclamation has never happened. Yeah. But I don't know if the money was left.
Well, the money gone. The money mixed up.
Right? Yeah. And so
MP Paulwell, we can't continue this way.
It's our problem, you know.
Of course it is our problem. So we won't make it worse.
I told my colleague here that, and he wanted me to say there should be no mining.
No more.
And I say I disagree with that because country that have gold mine, some have silver mine, some have that mine, they have oil and mine, but they mine and protect their country, and they mine and take care of their people. We have not done that.
So what
Ronnie, there is no reclamation.
What is your assurance that what Gisco and Aranda and all of the other people are doing is going to change now? What is going to be?
Phillip is in Parliament. You are on the bridge, and there are several parliamentarians who say
Ernie Smith is raising his voice in heaven right now. Yes, Phillip Paulwell, what assurances? What gives you this optimism?
And we should also acknowledge, Ronnie, that it is a much higher paying employer of labor in Jamaica than a number of other sectors. They pay better wages than tourism and so on. I think it is our responsibility. Yeah. We have allowed investors to come and trample on us. Yeah. And Michael Manley taught us to impose a levy, which we have not done well. I will acknowledge that. Yeah. We have not done well in ensuring that those resources are not just driven into general revenues, but put the money back to restoration, to building back these communities. Right. And we do have another 40 years, Ronnie.
Oh, well, you know something.
Ronnie has spent 7 terms in Parliament. Yeah. And if it's 7, let us average it, 75 with 35 years. Yeah. And I can recall that when the budget is being presented,
pretty.
The minister carries an order.
Yeah, pretty.
By saying X amount of money will be taken from the bauxite company.
So we should be ashamed that it hasn't been done. And we since it is likely that Philip's view will prevail, because it is the view of the government as well, and the contractual relations, that bauxite should continue. I'm very humbly saying that you have a tremendous responsibility, MP Shadow Minister Paulwell.
And you, Mr. Thwaites,
no,
have an international responsibility.
Yeah, I'm against
to go up to the bauxite company and get the formula. The formula has been put in there by Bustamante and Norman. These people are not being forced to do it.
These people are laughing at us. How easy, because they sell out the company, and when you go to the successor and say, how about the reclaiming them, say, oh, that's not our responsibility.
Half of Jamaica gone now in a ship.
Well,
and leave us with pure
me want to know is why
No, Ronnie. I am betting you on money. That you're not a bet man.
You hear the same Adventist man betting a Roman Catholic on money.
Hold on. I'm betting you on money.
Yes.
That the money that the contract called for through these companies has been paid.
If it has been paid,
they would never allow it to go.
But it's worse. It's worse than that because the money gone through the system like a dose of salts. Phillip Paulwell, need to quiz you on the question of energy prices before time runs out on us shortly. I've heard you speaking. Pernell disagrees that the movement of the hedge tax on gas. He asks if you remove that. How are you going to make it up in terms of government revenue? The price of oil, I heard you reminding us, can probably go over $100 a barrel very soon.
Which you don't have any responsibility on. But you have to pay the teachers and the police.
Well, so Phillip, what's the answer there? Are we tied to a sinking weight that is going to be more and more of a burden on us?
Well, Ronnie and Pernell, I'm very concerned about where we're at in relation to fuel prices. And, as somebody who is looking down as we anticipate the tabling of the estimates this week, and you know that with the new regime is that you have to table the revenues as well, the revenue side.
Yeah.
I believe it's a pity that there isn't more consultation with the opposition, especially when it comes on to the revenue side, because I am hearing word that my complaint about the heavy taxation on fuel might have to be multiplied threefold if the government has its way in relation to the new budget.
You mean that there may be higher taxes on fuel?
Well, Ronnie, there's a commitment to pay the civil servants a lot more, your teachers, your doctors, and we support that. We believe also that you have to prioritize national security and education. So there must be more money. And where you find this money now is going to be crucial. I believe that the fuel side of the thing is overtaxed. Almost 40% of what we pay per liter now is taxation. That you do have an ad valorem component. So whenever the price rises, the government collects more. I believe that there should be a way to reduce that. I believe that the hedge tax, which has been in place since 2015, is unconscionable and really quite immoral. But we might be seeing more.
Whoa.
Phillip, what kind of quantity of money are you talking? I mean, if the price of gas went up by $3 on one side, if you take away that tax, it's not even $2.
No, but it's going up by $3.
No. Hold on. Listen to the point I'm making.
Yeah. And he
the
said,
price of gas go up $3.
No, I take your point. You said it was immaterial.
No. Not saying it's immaterial.
Oh.
I'm talking about quantum now.
Yes, no, but
I want somebody to tell me if that tax that Phillip is talking about is removed, right? Would it take $2 off tax?
But Pernell, I'm not speaking only about the hedge tax, which will only reduce about $2 per liter. We have two special consumption taxes on petrol. You have a fixed amount and you have an ad valorem amount. Petrol does not carry a GCT, so producers can't even claim back as they would for their input and output tax.
Yes.
So it is the most efficient tax.
Are
we making profit off of it?
Of course we are.
How much?
No, hold on.
I'm giving you something to go to Parliament.
The time is running out on us. What Phillip is suspecting is that it may be a temptation for government needing to have more revenue to actually put even more tax on it this time around. And that is something we're going to have to watch for and consider very carefully. Because remember, it touches light bill too. Phillip Paulwell.
In a vicious way.
The vicious way.
It touches everything.
Everything. Yes. Thanks very much for the thoughts up. Plenty more to talk to you about, but you're always welcome on the bridge to the diaspora.
Phillip, be courageous.
It is more entertaining these days with you
Be courageous. You have a strong PNP man here.
Honourable Phillip Paulwell.
Who is trying to pull me to support you. But the point is,
that'll be the day. We got to go.
When you come to the reality of it, we
go.
are going to stand with our country.
Well, of course, that's it. Thanks again for your company. Colonel Charles, thanks for your company on the Public Eye today. LaFane, all of the team that has made Public Eye possible. We're grateful to you. Romy, Beau-regard, take care. All the best to you.
Take care.
Yeah, man, exciting days. Nikki Z comes. We welcome her. Till next week.